She makes it very hard to do thumbnails with lots of books because she's literally sat on my feet, and then it means if I pick up a book I have to angle it back because then they might fall on her head otherwise. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Bryony and I'm one half of the Indecisive Readers. Today I'm here to do a video that I don't quite know what to name it. Basically it's kind of all the books I would like to read because I'm not sure whether I want to read them, so I might unhaul them, but I don't want to unhaul them without having read them. So basically what I've done is I've cleared a bit of room where I can put these books, and I've put them like pages out, and then I will just pick one up maybe once a month. At least that's my plan, or I will just get people to vote on which ones they are. But I thought I might as well kind of show you what all of those are, and you can tell me whether or not they're worth reading or whether or not I should just sell them. So I'm going to do this chronologically, I think, vaguely chronologically. I may not remember exactly when, but as much as possible. So the first one I have is I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Law. I have had this on my shelf probably since about 2012, 2013, when the Hunger Games and things were big. I really don't know what it's about, so I'm just going to read the blurb and see, maybe that might inspire me to pick it up. But it says, in the beginning we were 9. We left when we were very young, almost too young to remember, almost, and now 3 are gone. We are here to keep our race alive, which was almost entirely obliterated. We're just trying to survive. 6 are left, but we are hunted, and the hunters won't stop until they've killed us all. They caught number 1 in Malaysia, number 2 in England, number 3 in Kenya. I am number 4. I know that I'm next. So it does sound quite interesting. I think it's kind of a YA dystopian, and I would like to read it because it's been on my shelf for a while, so obviously at one point it was good. But yeah, I don't really know what it's about and have never had any reason to pick it up in the past. The one I've had for the next longest is actually The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. I only got this last year. I got it at Yauk, but I think I won it in a raffle, which isn't to say I don't want to keep it, because obviously it is from my first Yauk experience and I've only got like 1 or 2 more of those, and I'm also possibly thinking about unhauling those. But I would like to read this because I think when I picked it up I thought it sounded quite interesting. So let's look at what we know. Did Anna kill Owen Chen? Yes, she did. The point of this case, ladies and gentlemen, is why. Welcome to the Kingdom, a dazzling fantasy theme park where happily ever after is not just a promise but a rule. 7 beautiful fantasists, half human, half android princesses are programmed to make wishes come true, no matter what. But when fantasist Anna meets theme park worker Owen, her fairy tale ends in blood. Now she's on trial for experiencing human emotions beyond her programming and must come face to face with what she is and what she's done. But the truth is dangerous and no one wants the kingdom to fall. It does sound interesting actually. I completely forgot what it was about, but that sounds quite fun. I would like to pick this up, but I may say this with a lot of these. So the next book I have, I'm actually kind of disappointed to have on here because it's actually the reason I started getting subscription boxes. This was from the November Illumicrate last year, I think. And I picked it up, or chose to start getting subscriptions, because I was interested in this book. And whilst I still am, I was interested in it because of the hype, and I thought, oh, I'll get a special edition of the book. But I haven't picked it up yet, and I don't know whether I want it enough to keep the hardback, because I could sell it on and just get the paperback if I enjoyed it, or just not have it. But that is The Starless by Erin Morgenstern. As you can see, this is the Illumicrate, so it has just a naked hardback with the bee, the key and the sword, which I don't know what the kind of importance of them is. It also has them on the spine and the name and things, and then at the back it just says be somewhere for a while, and again it's just got them again. And then it's got the blue edges, and I do think it's a beautiful book. I think it's really nicely done and I think it's a really pretty edition. But I read The Night Circus and I did enjoy it. I rated it about 4 stars, but I only had that one as a paperback, and that's absolutely fine. I don't want a special edition of that, and so I don't know whether or not I want to keep this, but a lot of people have said very good things about it, so I feel like if I did like it, I might like it enough to keep it, but also the paperback would be fine. I'm not really sure what this one's about. I believe it's about a guy that goes to a library and it's got all sorts of stories and he picks up his own story, maybe. I can't remember if it's got an ending or it doesn't have an ending, but I believe it has queer characters, and when people read it they tend to really like it, but I don't know. I can't read you a summary because there's obviously no dust jacket, and that's usually where it is on these books, which is a little bit frustrating. I would like to read this before unhauling it, just to kind of make sure, because I'd be disappointed if I did end up liking it and I'd sold this, but yeah, this is why this is on that list. So the next one I have is also from an Illumicrate box. I think this was the December one, and it is Blood Heir by Amelie Zhao. It's got really pretty sprayed edges. I think you can see it's kind of bloody, presumably to do with the title of the book. When this was on NetGalley, I was interested in picking it up, but for some reason I didn't. And then when it was available in here, I thought that's great. But I think when I've heard things about it, they've been mediocre things, and so I'm just a little bit hesitant to pick it up. In the Cerulean Empire, affinities are reviled. Their varied gifts who control the world around them are unnatural, dangerous, and Anastasia Mikhailov, the crown princess, has a terrifying secret. Her deadly affinity to blood is her curse, and the reason she has lived her life hidden behind palace walls. When Anna's father, the emperor, is murdered, her world is shattered. Framed as his killer, Anna must flee the palace to save her life. And to clear her name, she must find her father's murderer on her own. But the Cerulean beyond the palace walls is far different from the one she thought she knew. Corruption rules the land and a greater conspiracy is at work, one that threatens the very balance of her world. And there is only one person corrupt enough to help Anna get to its core, Ramson Quicktongue, a cunning crime lord in the Cerulean underworld. Ramson has sinister plans, though he might have met his match in Anna, because in this story the princess might be the most dangerous player of all. So it sounds very interesting. It sounds like it should be quite dark, and it has a bit of a mystery to it, which does keep the reader reading. I believe it's also a retelling of Anastasia, which is a Russian kind of story, but I just don't know. For some reason, some people haven't loved it, and therefore I am now hesitant to pick this up. I think the one I've had for the next longest is actually an ARC, but I got it when I went to a publisher's to talk to someone about like a job rather than books necessarily, but I was given this because it was one they were excited about, or I just got pressured into picking it up. I can't really remember, but it is Never Saw You Coming by Hayley Doyle. This is the back of it, but the front doesn't say what it's about. I believe it's a romance, and I'm not a big fan of romances, which is why I've been hesitating to pick it up, but blurb. Sarah Khoury believes in love, so much so that she flies from Dubai to Liverpool to be with a man she barely knows. It's a risk, but she's certain that uprooting her life for Nick is the new start she needs. Jim Glover is stuck. Since his dad died, he's put his dreams aside and stayed at home in Liverpool to care for his mum. Trapped in a dead-end job, he's going nowhere. That is, until he gets a phone call that might just change his life. Zara and Jim aren't supposed to meet, but then fate steps in, and when their worlds collide, the real journey begins. So I don't really know what it is, what it's about, but I will find out, I'm sure, if I ever pick it up. The next book I then have is from a charity shop. I picked it up for £1 because Sam, as a bookseller, said that it had sold quite well. I believe it's a historical romance, and that is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. I believe the author actually went to the university I was at, because I had heard about it before, but it's a very long blurb. Let me just read the blurb to myself, and then I don't have to read it out. What I believe this is about is a woman whose husband has just died, and so she is a scientist or something and moves to this new town in Essex, Colchester, and when she gets there she hears about this mythical serpent that's kind of in the rivers and keeps killing people, but she doesn't really believe in religion and superstition, so doesn't believe this, and ends up meeting the priest or something, and they talk through it and form a relationship, and I don't quite know what it's about, but I believe Sophie at a Redhead read it and enjoyed it, and I do trust her opinions, so I may pick it up, and it's pretty. It's like very shiny, but at the moment, because I don't really know what it's about, I'm not being drawn to pick it up. So I think having it on this shelf of lots of ones where I'm not drawn to pick it up but I am excited to read may be the best way to actually approach it. So we're kind of in the point in the hesitant book haul where these are recent purchases or recent finds, and so they haven't been sat on my shelf for as long, but they're ones I've received in book subscription boxes, or they're ones I brought from charity shops, so they've been cheap and I was like, I'll pick that up. But I don't always have interest in them. Otherwise, if I have brought them recently, I do want to read them. But yeah, I'm just going to carry on and show you what they are. So the first one I think was from the June Fairy Loot box, and I was interested in some of the merch that came with it, but I didn't know what the book was. I'm really bad at guessing what books are in subscription boxes unless they've got like an exact summary and I can just look that up. But this was The Forest of Souls by Amelie. I don't know what it's about, but it's got like spiders and webs on all the kind of aesthetics, and I'm not hugely interested in that. It looks a bit dark as well, and I just don't know enough about it to be excited. After years of training to become the Queen's next royal spy, Saoirse Ashwin's plans are derailed when shamans attack and kill her best friend Senego. But then Saoirse somehow restores Senego to life. Unveiled as the first soul guide in living memory, Saoirse is summoned to the domain of the Spider King. For centuries he has used his influence over the Deadwood, an ancient forest possessed by souls, to enforce peace between the kingdoms. Now, with the trees growing wild and untamed, only a soul guide can restrain them. As war looms, Saoirse must master her newly awakened abilities before the trees shatter the brittle peace, or worse, claim Senego, the friend she would die for. So I think the kind of, I was going to say the royal spy part sounded interesting, but I'm not sure how big that's going to be. But it does sound like it's got the makings of an interesting book, so I might try and find like someone else who has it. And maybe buddy read it, because I feel like a buddy read might encourage me to read it. Because it's a Fairy Loot exclusive, it does have like artwork and then artwork under the dust jacket, and then there's the spider, so it is really pretty. But I don't want to like hoard books, and especially special editions of books that I don't know I'm going to be interested in, especially because there might be other people out there that are. Speaking of books I'm not sure whether I'm going to be interested in from Fairy Loot, this is from the July box, which was Resilient Royals, and I like a royal story, but I'd not even heard of this before and not heard anyone talk about it, and that is Shielded by KayLynn Flanders. I really like the cover. I think the kind of illustrated person is really pretty, and because I do like books about royals, I feel like I could like this, but I feel like it's going to be romance heavy because of that, and I'm just not always in love with romance heavy books if you've been around here for a while. The kingdom of Helendi is in trouble. It's losing the war at its borders, and rumours of a new deadlier threat have surfaced. Princess Jenna knows her skills on the battlefield would make her an asset and wants her help, but her father has other plans. Second-born heir to the throne, Jenna lacks the firstborn's, her older brother's, magical abilities, so the king promises her hand in marriage to the prince of neighbouring Turia in exchange for resources Helendi needs. Jenna has no choice. She must leave everything behind she has ever known if she is to give her people a chance at peace. On the journey to reach her betrothed and her new home, the royal caravan is ambushed, and Jenna realised the rumours were wrong. The new threat is worse than anyone imagined. Now Jenna must decide if revealing a dangerous secret is worth the cost before it's too late for her and her entire kingdom. Reading that again actually does interest me more. Princesses that can actually do stuff does kind of sound like my cup of tea, and so maybe I will pick this up soon. I just don't know when. Maybe I need to like come up with a catch up on subscription box read along. I wonder if I could do that. As we're talking about princesses, and because I think it's a relatively kind of similar time I received this one, I have The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen. I've actually had the paperback of this for about like 4 years, and so I don't quite know why I picked up the hardback, other than it was only like £3 or £5 or something, and I was like, yes, I will buy it. But I'm not sure how much I want it over the paperback, and I feel like Sam may have hold of them anyway, and I don't need, or we don't need 3 versions of the same book between us on a series we don't really care for. Well, I think Sam liked it, that's why I brought it in the first place, but yeah, I don't know why I picked this up. It was on her 19th birthday that the soldiers came for Kelsey Glynn. They came to escort her back to the place of her birth, to ensure she takes possession of what is rightfully hers. But, like many 19-year-olds, Kelsey is unruly, has high principles and believes she knows better than her elders. Unlike many 19-year-olds, she is about to inherit a kingdom that is on its knees, corrupt and dangerous. Kelsey will either become the most fearsome ruler the kingdom has ever known, or be dead within a week. Now, this was meant to be a big kind of YA princess story when it came out, which is why I'm quite surprised I didn't read it at the time. It actually says soon to be a major film starring Emma Watson, and obviously that didn't turn out, but it must have been quite good if Emma Watson was going to be on board for the film. So I would like to read it, and I know various times Ashley has spoken about doing a read-along for it, and I feel like that's the push I need to just read it. But it hasn't happened yet, and therefore I have not picked it up yet. So the next 3 books I got were from the same book haul. They were from one charity shop, but they were in a buy 4 for £1, and to be honest I wasn't really interested in any of them, so I'm not sure why I picked them up, but here we are anyway. So the first 2 are Wild Like Me and Wild About the Girl by Louise Pentland. I'm not sure which one comes first, I think it might be this one. I am interested in them. That was a kind of incorrect thing from me, but they're not my favourite thing. But they are romances, but kind of, I'm not sure romance is the right word, maybe rom-com, but kind of focusing on a mother-daughter relationship, and maybe then romance is kind of around that. So I think that sounds quite fun, because you don't often get to see happy mother-daughter relationships. We were discussing this a while ago on my feminist book club, where you don't get many books like Gilmore Girls, and this kind of feels like the same sort of vibe, and so I would like to read them, but I don't know anything about them to want to read them. Robin Wilde is an awesome single mum. She's great at her job. Her best friend Lacey and bonkers auntie Kath love her, and little Lila to the moon and back. From the outside, everything looks just fine. But Robin has a secret. Behind the mask she carefully applies every day, things sometimes feel grey and lonely. She struggles to fit in with the school mum crew. Online dating is despair-inducing. And how can she give her little girl the very best when, honestly, some days it's hard to find a clean pair of knickers? After 4 years and 2 months and 24 days of single mumdom, Robin realises it's time to get out there and change her life. Little encouragement and creativity go a long way, and exciting new opportunities are soon on the horizon. Maybe a man, maybe the chance of a lifetime. Will Robin see the possibility she creates for herself, and what surprise does her life have in store if she does? So I don't think I'm necessarily in a rush to unhaul these, but I feel like I'm more likely to read them if they're on a shelf where I don't know when I'm going to pick them up. And so that's why these are going on the shelf. So the final one I have, like I said, I got from the same haul, and that is Pedigree Mum by Fiona Gibson. It says on the back, a stray husband, a town of posh pooches, can a crazy rescue dog mend a broken heart? When Kerry Tambini upped sticks with her new family to a home on the coast, she couldn't have been happier. Then husband Rob made the biggest mistake of his life. Stranded with her children in snotty Shoreling, Kerry has plenty on her plate. So how can she say no to the kids' plea for a dog when they're missing their father dreadfully? As Kerry juggles hectic family life and trying to fit in with the local pedigree mums, she soon finds herself adopting a dog. But will this wayward hound lead Kerry to a new love, or has she bitten off more than she can chew? I just feel like this sounds quite fun, quite cute. Like I said, not quite my usual, so that's kind of why it's on the shelf, but it's not to say I don't expect to like it, but yeah. So these are all the books. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to like them, so I'm putting them on a shelf to not know what I'm going to choose so I can read them before unhauling them. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you'd recommend them, or if you just think they're pants and I wouldn't like them, because I would also appreciate knowing that. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!